Remember to breathe when necessary this week. We're just a week away from the big tax deadline, and for some of us, procrastination leads to panic, and then panic can lead to bad decisions.
Yeah, that's why the IRS really wants you to know about a long list, they say, of scams that are happening this tax season. News 3 Steve Wolford is live outside the IRS building with a few things that you need to watch out for.
Yeah, just definitely no panic. Well, the IRS calls it the Dirty Dozen. It's basically a list of all of the frauds and schemes that fraudsters can pull on you during tax season. And if you're not paying attention, they can steal your money or steal your identity or leave you holding the bag on an audit.
Oh, we've done our taxes, yeah.
Sent in.
Yeah.
Yep, they're all done.
For Barry and Rebecca Finley, tax season is in the rearview mirror with the help of an accountant. Donovan Morris filed his own return.
Right now, I've been waiting over 21 days, but I did it through Cash App.
But not everyone has a trustworthy way to file. That's why the IRS is out with this year's Dirty Dozen, the most common ways you can get scammed in tax season. They include the promise of an unexpectedly large refund.
When you start seeing crazy refunds or things, and they're promising you these great big dollar amounts, you got to put the brakes on because, a lot of the programs that were in place just last year have expired.
Making the list again this year, phishing and smishing, email or text messages from scammers pretending to be the IRS demanding payment. A third party offering you with help to create an IRS.gov account to get your personal information. Employee retention credit claims that can lead to a big refund, but more likely than not, an audit. And for last-minute filers scrambling to find a deduction, CPA John Wightman says beware of bogus charities that aren't listed on the IRS website.
The IRS isn't going to honor the charitable deduction on your return, so you're going to lose whatever tax benefit you may have done. Worse is it's not going to the cause that you really believe that you were supporting.
And Rafael Tolino with the IRS says this year's Dirty Dozen has a new addition.
Tips and bad advice being seen in social media. So if you're using social media to connect with friends and do all the things we do there, great, but you want to unfriend, if you will, the bad tax advice. Because chances are if you're taking tax advice on social media, it may or may not be true.
And that is some good advice. If you owe this year, the tax filing deadline is the 18th. That's because the 15th and the 16th are a weekend. Then the 17th, the soonest Monday, is a holiday in Massachusetts and in Washington, D.C. So that means your tax deadline this year is midnight on the 18th.
We are 222 days away from the Formula One race here in Las Vegas, and beginning this week, portions of Las Vegas Boulevard are being shut down for repaving ahead of that event. It's leading to massive headaches for drivers, some of them taking an hour or more to get from Flamingo down to Trop. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Snyder. Marie has the night off. News 3's Brett Forrest joins us live from right in the middle of the action. The construction work going on even at this late hour at the Boulevard and Sands Avenue. And how's the traffic moving through there now, Brett?
Hey Jim, good evening. So finally, for the first time I've seen today at least, I'm kind of right along Spring Mountain and Sands. The traffic is finally dying down here. This was a cause of a lot of headache earlier, but I'm looking up towards the Strat and then south towards the Cosmo. The traffic's still stretching pretty heavy down there. So you can see the crews in action. I've actually noticed quite a lot of progress made just today, but people turning right here, they turn into the what's typically the northbound lanes, and they're being squeezed into one northbound, one southbound lane, all on that side of the road. So that's just been causing a lot of headaches for people. And unfortunately, it just doesn't look like there's a solid alternative route or detour that people should be taking during all of this. Standstill traffic, honking horns, annoyed drivers, and maybe some expletives.
We're coming down from Tropicana here last night for over an hour.
Might sound like any other day driving on the Strip, but this week and for the coming several weeks, it'll be even worse.
Like, we just came from California, so this shouldn't be like California. This is Vegas.
With the Formula One repaving project closing down portions of Las Vegas Boulevard, drivers will have to get used to this until May 19th. That's over 5 weeks of this traffic.
It took an hour and 20 minutes from Flamingo Boulevard just to get to this spot right there. An hour and 20 minutes on one lane working. It's a nightmare.
According to the Clark County Public Works website, there will be just one lane open for northbound and southbound drivers on the Strip, stretching from Spring Mountain and Sands Avenue all the way down to Siegfried and Roy every day, 24 hours a day, through Friday. After that, it's unclear.
So I think it was super inconvenient because we were coming to this hotel down the street, and we were up there by Excalibur, and it felt like it took way more longer to get around.
Tourists and locals alike expressing their frustrations with driving or taking ride shares. But when asked if all of this is worth it for Formula One, their demeanors more positive.
I would love to come watch Formula One. That'd be super cool.
I'm a sports person. I'm all for that if it helps Vegas.
Think it's going to be worth it with Formula One coming here?
I really hope so. It better be.
And one more way to illustrate just how bad traffic has been here. Earlier today when we were driving down to get from the Treasure Island parking garage to Las Vegas Boulevard here, that's just one block. It took us about 30 minutes. So as I said, unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a great alternative detour to make it about here. So if you are having to drive down to the Strip, just be prepared for some heavy delays, or maybe it's just best to avoid this area altogether because these operations are going to continue through September 15th with intermittent closures all throughout the circuit and the track. We have more info about that on our website, news3lv.com.
The nationwide debate over abortion rights and access to contraceptives is heating up following that federal judge's ruling we told you about Friday, restricting access to a common abortion-inducing pill. This issue likely headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Before that happens, Nevada has its own proposed laws before the state legislature right now. Here in our state, abortions before 24 weeks into a pregnancy are codified into state law. Those are legal. And as we approach the one-year anniversary of the ruling overturning Roe versus Wade, several state lawmakers want to protect access to reproductive rights here where we live. News 3's Tiffany Lane joins us to break down that proposed legislation.
Jim, Assembly Bill 383 creates the Right to Contraception Act. The goal is to make sure that all Nevadans have access to contraception and that federal and local government can't take that right away.
What this bill really strives to do is ensure that governments are not burdening our access to reproductive health care.
Assemblywoman Selena Torres presented Assembly Bill 383 Monday.
And that includes individuals that might be seeking in vitro fertilization. That might be individuals that are looking to have access to birth control.
Here's a further breakdown of the bill. As mentioned, the bill protects the right to contraception for all Nevadans by preventing any state or local government from implementing any restrictive burdens on contraception access going forward. It protects healthcare providers' ability to administer and prescribe birth control. Assembly Bill 383 provides free translation services to patients to use with their provider when trying to obtain birth control.
As we approach nearly a year of the overturning of Roe, Nevadans are frustrated, confused, and anxious that just one more judicial decision can overturn healthcare services that they use on a daily basis.
Some during the hearing spoke against the bill, many citing abortion medication as the reason.
I'm using my voice today to oppose. I don't want this bill helping facilitating abortion pills that can be sold in pharmacies.
Torres clarified there's nothing in the bill that specifically does with any medication. The bill focuses on access to health care.
Birth control is a crucial part of a person's overall health and reproductive freedom and autonomy. In a post-Roe world, it is vitally important that access to birth control remains free from unnecessary restrictions or barriers to access.
Every family should have should be able to make the decision of when to have their family.
And during this meeting, we heard that several parts of that bill had been amended and removed before the presentation, and that's because it sounds like some of those provisions are also in a Senate bill on this same issue, and so Assemblywoman Torres said she didn't want the bills to overlap. We'll be following both of these bills and provide updates right here on News 3. Live from the Grant Sawyer Building downtown, I'm Tiffany Lane. Jim, back to you.
Subscribe to News 3 on YouTube at News 3 Las Vegas.